There's a quietness settling over neighborhoods all across Oregon. It's kind of eerie, really. Homes that were built for families are just sitting there, unused. Apartments meant for young professionals are dark as night, and condos in downtown areas can go for months without anyone living in them. It's gotten so pronounced that when you look at drone footage, it can feel more like an abandoned simulation than a lively community. So what's going on? Well, Oregon's housing scene is facing some big changes. From too many homes being built and rising insurance costs to people moving away and rental markets collapsing, the state's housing story has entered a new chapter. Homes are sitting on the market longer, buyers are holding back, renters are leaving, and thousands of properties are now empty, with no signs of a turnaround. Today, I want to share with you the top 10 cities in Oregon where homes are sitting empty in 2025. First up at number 10 is Astoria, which is one of the state's most historic and beautiful cities. But behind its charming coastal vibe and lovely Victorian buildings, the housing market is facing a slowdown that many seem to overlook. For years, Astoria was a hotspot, attracting remote workers, retirees, and people looking for a vacation home as an alternative to Portland. But by 2025, things have really shifted. Home prices skyrocketed beyond what locals could afford. With tourism taking a hit and rising costs pushing buyers away, more homes are now quietly gathering dust. During the boom, you could grab a cozy cottage for around the mid 300,000s, but those prices have jumped to over $500,000. Waterfront condos by the Columbia River hit the market for upwards of $600,000, but that demand has evaporated. Unfortunately, median incomes in Clatsop County just haven't kept up, and many families who once thought about buying in Astoria find themselves unable to do so now. As mortgage rates and insurance costs rise, the gap in affordability has become hard to overlook. Vacancy rates are climbing, and you can see clusters of unoccupied homes in hillside neighborhoods south of Marine Drive. Many of these were bought as second homes or short-term rentals that now just aren't holding up. It's not unusual for a typical three-bedroom home listed at around $500,000 to linger on the market for 60 to 90 days, even after price cuts of $20,000 to $30,000. Sellers are lowering their prices more, but buyer interest is still slow to come back. Even short-term rental hosts are pulling back, as tourism along the northern Oregon coast has shifted. So, let's chat about some towns in Oregon that are really feeling the pinch when it comes to housing. Take Astoria, for example. It's beautiful, but the rental market is kind of taking a hit. With places like Seaside and Warrington being cheaper, more folks are heading to those towns, which means Astoria's Airbnb occupancy isn't looking so great anymore. Investors are feeling the squeeze too, with higher insurance costs and stricter regulations. They're starting to quietly list their properties because they want to get out before things get worse. Plus, more residents are moving inland to spots like Longview, St. Helens, and Salem, which isn't helping the buyer pool in Astoria. Now, let's shift our focus to Roseburg. This town has always been admired for its natural beauty and a chill lifestyle. Plus, it used to be a wallet-friendly option compared to bigger Oregon cities. But guess what? As we head into 2025, Roseburg is battling a surprising housing slowdown. There are a lot more vacancies now, and the pool of buyers is shrinking. One major issue here is that homes have just become too expensive. During the pandemic, home prices skyrocketed from the high $200,000 to the mid and upper $300,000 because buyers from California and Portland were driving up demand. For example, a three-bedroom home that used to be around $280,000 in 2019 is now pushing close to $400,000. And the problem? Local wages haven't caught up, so there's this massive gap between what houses cost and what families can actually afford. This mismatch is causing homes to sit on the market for much longer now. In areas like Melrose and Green, houses listed between $350,000 and $400,000 could be on the market for 60 to 90 days before they get any bites. Sellers are even cutting their prices by tens of thousands just to get people interested. You can really see the impact in new construction areas too. Builders who put up a lot of homes in northeast Roseburg and along Garden Valley Boulevard are facing a pile of unsold houses. You've got partially finished developments with homes just sitting there, and lots that were prepped for future builds are now stalled. Even offers like closing cost credits and fancy appliances haven't managed to boost interest. The rental scene isn't thriving either. New apartment complexes near Stewart Parkway and the downtown area are seeing vacancy rates higher than anything we've witnessed in a decade. Former renters, including families and retirees, are finding their way to more affordable places like Winston or Sutherland. With fewer jobs around, it's becoming quite the challenge for these towns. Let's talk about Gresham and Roseburg in Oregon and how they're facing some tough times in 2025. Gresham, in particular, has shown us just how fast a housing market can take a turn when homes become unaffordable and when people start moving away. For years, Gresham was like a safety valve for people who couldn't afford to buy homes in Portland. Prices were lower, commutes were decent, and first-time buyers felt like they had a shot at home ownership. But fast forward to 2025, and things have shifted drastically. Home prices have shot way up, far outpacing local wages. Townhomes that used to sell for around $380,000 are now being listed closer to $330,000, while new single-family homes in East Gresham have crossed the $500,000 mark. This jump in prices happened mainly because folks from Portland looking for more space started pouring into Gresham, along with some new arrivals from out of state with bigger budgets. But now that demand has really dwindled. Migration patterns have changed, and fewer people are moving to Gresham than in the past decade. Many are even skipping the Portland area altogether in favor of more affordable cities in Idaho, Utah, Arizona, and Washington. Because of this slowdown in new residents, Gresham's buyer pool has gotten way smaller. Homes that used to get offers in just a few days are now sitting on the market for 60 to 90 days, even after price cuts. And it's not just Gresham. The rental market is feeling this pinch too, with many renters who once dreamed of buying a home now looking to leave Oregon entirely, which just adds to the housing supply problem. With everything from rising insurance premiums to increasing utility costs and stagnant wages, Gresham isn't the affordable option it once was. It's serving as a real example of how cities are getting squeezed in this changing market. Meanwhile, over in Roseburg, the situation feels quite similar with lots of new homes, but not enough buyers. It's a tough cycle for these small cities as they try to find their footing in an unpredictable housing landscape. So, let's chat about Medford, which has really taken a hit in the housing market lately. Once upon a time, this city was like the shining star of southern Oregon, drawing in retirees, families, and remote workers thanks to its lovely weather, stunning mountains, and homes that were relatively affordable when compared to places like Portland and Bend. Fast forward to 2025, and Medford is experiencing some pretty surprising slowdowns. Prices have shot up way faster than local incomes, making it tough for people to buy homes. Plus, wildfire-related insurance costs have skyrocketed, which isn't helping either. With fewer new buyers coming into Jackson County, the market is now flooded with homes that are listed for sale but aren't getting any attention. The biggest shift we've seen is in affordability. During those pandemic days, you could snag a three-bedroom home for about $300,000, but now that same house might go for around $450,000. And new builds in East Medford are even pricier, often pushing over $500,000. A lot of this was fueled by folks moving in from California and Washington, but that tide has really slowed down. As a result, many local households can't keep up with the high prices sellers are hoping for. You can really see this imbalance in the rising number of empty homes. In neighborhoods off Crater Lake Highway and around North Phoenix Road, houses are sitting vacant for months. What used to be competitive listings are now barely getting any foot traffic. For instance, a three-bedroom home priced at $480,000 might just linger on the market for 60 to 90 days, even if the seller lowers the price by $20,000 or more. Sellers looking for a quick turnaround are discovering that the pool of potential buyers is much smaller than they anticipated. On top of that, the soaring insurance costs make it even tougher for first-time buyers to jump into homeownership. Builders are feeling the crunch too. Projects in southeast Medford and White City, which were expected to sell well, now show a lot of unsold homes and unfinished lots, and even incentives aren't sparking much interest. With ownership costs on the rise, a slowdown in migration, a dip in rental demand, and prices that just don't match local wages, Medford is stepping into 2025 facing a tough new reality. There are just too many homes and not enough buyers, and the market is desperately seeking some stability. Next on our radar is Salem, which is kind of sneaking up as one of Oregon's biggest hotspots for vacancies. It never really went through those wild highs that other areas saw. By 2025, Salem, Oregon is facing some serious challenges in its housing market. Once viewed as a solid and affordable state capital, the city's real estate stability has weakened, leaving it with way more homes for sale than there are buyers. This shift first started to show up in the rental market. New apartment complexes in South Salem and Kazir are seeing vacancy rates way above what was expected. Places that used to get rented out right away are now sitting empty for months, and some buildings have even reached over 10% vacancy. In Northeast Salem, things are looking even worse, with the decline spreading across different income levels and types of properties. On the homeownership front, things aren't looking great either. Homes that are priced around $450,000, usually the sweet spot for updated three-bedroom houses, are now sitting on the market for 70 to 90 days before anyone makes a serious offer. To attract buyers, sellers have started cutting prices by $10,000 to $20,000, but foot traffic is still low as many buyers hit a wall with affordability. The main issue for Salem is that living costs are climbing while wages are stagnating. Insurance rates have shot up all over Oregon, utility bills and property taxes keep rising, but wages aren't matching that pace. People who could easily buy a home just 5 years back are now eyeing cheaper houses in Albany, Lebanon, or Springfield. Others aren't even considering buying since owning a home doesn't make sense anymore financially. To make matters worse, more folks are packing up and leaving the Willamette Valley for lower-cost states like Idaho, Utah, and Washington, which just shrinks the buyer pool even more. And what does this lead to? A lot of empty homes just sitting around in Salem's neighborhoods. Properties are lagging, sales are slowing, and the gap between the number of homes available and the number of buyers keeps growing each month. Salem is really standing out in 2025 as a market struggling to balance high home prices with a weak economy and fewer willing buyers. Then there's Eugene. Man, Eugene is going through one of the biggest shifts when it comes to vacancy rates in Oregon right now. And even people who've been following the market for years are surprised by how fast this is happening. For a long time, Eugene felt pretty insulated thanks to the University of Oregon, steady public sector jobs, and a dependable lifestyle demand. However, by 2025, those stabilizing forces have begun to fizzle out. Things have really changed in Eugene lately. Once upon a time, student-friendly neighborhoods near the university were buzzing with activity and filled to the brim with tenants every school year. But now, it's a different story. With enrollments shifting and more students opting for hybrid learning, many are heading toward more affordable rentals in places like Springfield or even farther from campus. As a result, homes that used to provide steady income are now sitting with empty bedrooms and long stretches without tenants. It's not just the students, though. Investors are feeling the strain, too. Many out-of-state buyers who snagged older homes from 1919 to 2022 thought they'd have a reliable cash flow. But they're now grappling with rising insurance costs, high utility bills, and steep repair needs. Major fixes like roof replacements and outdated plumbing are prompting some investors to bail, which is flooding an already soft market with more available homes. The affordability issue is only making things tougher. With Eugene's median home price nearing $500,000, it's become tough for local families to keep up. Mortgage payments at that level are beyond what many can handle. As a result, buyers who once aimed for homes in Eugene are looking toward Creswell, Springfield, Junction City, or even relocating entirely for better prices. And if we look at the vacancy rates, they tell a clear story. Several neighborhoods, including West Eugene and Ferry Street Bridge, are now seeing vacancies of over 15%. Even the newly built townhomes and updated single-family homes are taking way longer to sell than anyone expected, despite price drops. By 2025, it feels like Eugene grew for a population that just didn't show up. Homes are ready and waiting. But the buyers and renters who used to keep the demand alive aren't around anymore, leaving Eugene with more and more empty properties and no signs of bouncing back. Now let's talk about Bend. It used to be one of Oregon's hotspots, a fantastic mix of outdoor fun, tourism, and newcomers looking for a better lifestyle. But by 2025, that excitement has really fizzled out. What used to be a thriving market now feels like a ghost town, with empty listings and stalled developments everywhere you look. The affordability crunch has pushed a lot of would-be buyers away. For over a decade, Ben's home prices have skyrocketed, with median values soaring past $700,000, way outpacing the growth of local wages. So let's chat about housing in Ben's charm. You might have noticed that newer homes on the west side are getting listed for over $900,000. That's made it tough for the very people who keep the city running, like teachers, healthcare workers, and service employees, to afford a place to live. Now, we're starting to see what that means for the community. Over on the east side, there's a clear picture emerging. You have rows of houses that are half finished sitting on quiet streets as construction has slowed down or even stopped. Builders thought there would be a constant demand for homes, but it turns out there aren't enough buyers to keep things rolling. Some neighborhoods that were supposed to be sold out by 2023 are stuck with a bunch of empty units in 2025. As for condos and townhomes, the inventory has nearly doubled compared to before the pandemic. Homes priced between $450,000 and $600,000 can sit on the market for months, even with price drops of $10,000 to $20,000. Sellers who once expected to have bidding wars are now competing with other listings that are offering incentives like closing credits or lower HOA fees. The rental market isn't looking great either. Higher-end rentals that used to fill up quickly with tech workers or new residents from California are now sitting empty, with no one interested. With rising housing costs, the influx of newcomers has slowed down. More people are opting for affordable spots like Redmond or Prineville, or even heading out to places like Idaho and Montana. At the heart of Ben's vacancy issue is a simple truth. Prices shot up way quicker than incomes could keep pace with. Now, in 2025, the city is left with a bunch of empty homes, incomplete projects, and a market that just isn't growing like it used to. Now, shifting gears to Ty County, this place has always had that charming coastal vibe with ocean views and nice forested hills, not to mention home prices that were way lower than Portland. That's what kept folks coming: retirees, remote workers, and those looking for a second home for years. But guess what? By 2025, the county is hit with an unexpected housing slowdown that shows just how sensitive smaller coastal areas can be when prices rise faster than incomes and essential costs take off. The change in affordability is really eye-opening. During the boom, homes that used to sell for around the mid-200s skyrocketed into the high 300s and low 400s, especially in areas near Naderts. In 2025, we're seeing some interesting trends in Oregon's housing market, especially around a place called Tillamook County. It's like a perfect storm of rising prices, shrinking demand, and an increasing number of homes just sitting there without buyers. You know, back in the day, coastal spots like Oceanside and the Bayfront were hot properties, but now local wages aren't keeping up, and many full-time residents can't even qualify for homes that are priced around $400,000 or more. As for the inventory, it's on the rise in places like Salem, Garibaldi, Rockaway Beach, and nearby areas. Standard three-bedroom houses are hanging out on the market for 60 to 90 days, and that's even after sellers slashed their prices. It used to be all about steady coastal demand, but now sellers are chopping $10,000 to $20,000 off their asking prices, and it still isn't doing much to boost interest. On top of that, buyers are hesitant. One big issue is insurance costs. With coastal wind exposure, flood zone mapping, and higher storm risks, premiums have shot up way beyond what they used to be. Annual quotes that were around $1,500 can now hit over $3,000. That's a tough pill to swallow and is pushing many first-time buyers out of the market. We're seeing a slowdown in new construction too. Out by the Tuque River and around Cape Mears, there are lots that are either unfinished or homes just sitting there with for sale signs. Builders are trying to entice buyers with credits, upgrades, and rate incentives, but demand is still pretty low. Another thing to consider is migration patterns. Many longtime residents are leaving for more affordable inland counties like Yamhill or Polk, and there are fewer new folks moving in from Portland. With the dip in incoming buyers and skyrocketing living costs, the market is losing the support it used to have. Switching gears to Beaverton, this city is having its own struggles. Historically seen as a steady spot for families in Washington County, they rarely had issues with demand, even during tricky times. But now, because rising prices in Portland are forcing buyers out, We're seeing a bit of a shift in Beaverton's neighborhoods. The main problem here is that ownership costs are climbing. Property taxes in Washington County just keep going up. Insurance is also a big deal, especially with wildfire risks and changes to statewide rates. If you live in communities like Five Oaks, Murray Hill, or Cedar Hills, you're probably dealing with increased HOA dues too. All these costs add more to monthly payments, and many households are finding it tough to keep up, leading to a drop in demand. Inventory in Beaverton has jumped by almost 25%. Homes in the mid $600,000 range, which used to fly off the market in places like Murray Hill and South Beaverton, are now hanging out for 60 to 90 days. It's becoming pretty common to see price drops of $20,000 to $40,000. Houses that used to attract a bunch of offers are now just sitting there, struggling to get showings. On top of that, condos and townhomes are feeling even more heat, especially those near Milliken Way, Tannisbourne, and Jenkins Road, where vacancy levels are among the highest in the area. Many of these units come with HOA fees over $400 a month, which is really turning buyers off and pushing investor-owned units back onto the market, making the supply problem even worse. The rental market isn't faring any better either. Newer apartments close to Nike's headquarters and along the Max line are facing higher vacancies. To entice renters, incentives like waived deposits and a free first month are becoming the norm. Now, when we look at migration trends, it's clear the slowdown is even more pronounced. More households are leaving Portland but opting for places like Vancouver, Salem, Bend, or even out of state, all in search of lower living costs and better wages. By 2025, Beaverton is a prime example of how demand has taken a hit. What used to be a reliable market is now dealing with a rise in unsold homes, less interest from buyers, and homes just waiting for folks who have already moved on. As for Portland, it stands at the heart of Oregon's vacancy crisis, facing a slowdown that the city hasn't seen in years. Once a sought-after metro area on the West Coast, by 2025, Portland holds the title for the most empty homes in the state. Several factors have contributed to this change. Over the years, people have been moving out, shrinking Portland's population. Thousands have left for places like Vancouver, Bend, and Boise, or even further away, all looking for lower taxes, affordability, and a change in lifestyle. With fewer residents comes fewer buyers, and you can see the impact everywhere. Home prices that once skyrocketed are now way out of reach for those still in the area. The median price hit around $570,000 during peak times, but that's not something today's buyers can support. Listings are now sitting for 90 days or more, even in neighborhoods that used to see homes get snapped up immediately. We're seeing price cuts that range from $50,000 to $100,000. It's pretty striking to see how things have changed in Oregon, especially in places like the Pearl District, South Waterfront, and downtown. Those condo towers are really showing us just how tough the market is getting. With many units sitting empty, a lot of investors who jumped in during the boom are now starting to sell at lower prices or just leaving them vacant because the HOA costs and maintenance fees are climbing. You can spot this trend in single-family neighborhoods too. Streets that used to buzz with buyers are now a bit too quiet. Homes that used to sell in just a weekend at the asking price are stuck on the market for months. Even places like Laurelhurst, Selwood, and Alberta, which look great and have been updated, aren't getting much buyer interest. The high insurance costs, increasing property taxes, and worries about whether home values will go up in the long run have many potential buyers sitting on the sidelines. With fewer new folks moving into the area, the number of homes for sale is going up faster than people want to buy them. By 2025, it's clear that Portland's vacancy rate is sending a strong message. The housing market has grown way too big for the number of people who can actually support it. Sales have slowed down significantly, and it seems like entire blocks of homes are just waiting for buyers who are looking somewhere else. It's surprising to see this in 10 Oregon cities. New homes are being built or listed quicker than people can snap them up, while prices remain high. Insurance rates keep climbing, migration is slowing down, and neighborhoods that were once lively are now feeling a bit more subdued.